That exactly is not what I'm saying, is not to use this as a manipulation technique to get a lower price. If you suck at negotiation and you can't get your price on the get-go, then there's no reason for you to hold out on a seller that is desperate to sell or needs the money because you suck at negotiating from the get-go, and you're going to use this as leverage to get them or beat them into submission to get your price. That's not what I'm saying. But what I am saying is that you can use delayed closings as a strategic position to build wealth. And let me give you an example. So hey, what's up, bootstrappers? This is Ryan Nickel coming at you with another video. So I want to talk to you guys about delayed closings and how this can be used as a strategy to basically get what you want and make more money. What I mean by get what you want, not necessarily to like, you know, be like, oh man, I can't close, and like delaying it because you want to get like a better deal in the price or something like that. I'm not saying that at all. That exactly is not what I'm saying, is not to use this as a manipulation technique to get a lower price. If you suck at negotiation and you can't get your price on the get-go, then there's no reason for you to hold out on a seller that is desperate to sell or needs the money because you suck at negotiating from the get-go, and you're going to use this as leverage to get them or beat them into submission to get your price. That's not what I'm saying. But what I am saying is that you can use delayed closings as a strategic position to build wealth. And let me give you an example. So this was first introduced to me probably about 2.5, maybe even 3 years ago. There was a property that I wanted. It came from probate. This young man had inherited his grandfather's property, and he wanted to sell it. And he was real firm on his price, and he was unrealistic by the tune of like $100,000. That's how unrealistic he was. And that's what happens. A lot of times you get FSBOs, these for sale by owners, and they don't have a clue what they're doing. They just get this idea of like, oh, that's the price I want, and that's the price I'm going to get. And they hold out. And so it went back and forth probably with he and I, probably about 6-7 months. And we just couldn't agree on price. And finally, you know, my partner at the time, he's like, you know what, I don't want this property. And so I went and found somebody else that was interested in the property. And their price was like down here, and this guy was way up here. And so what happened was, I said, look, man, this is the best that we're going to do on this thing. And it was like $115,000 below the price that he was asking. And he was like, all right, tell you what, I'll sign the contract, send it over. So we sent the contract over, and then he didn't sign it. He didn't sign it. And then like a week went by, and so we withdrew the contract. We said, you know what, we're going to move on to something else, because it just didn't work for us, the numbers. And the reason why was it was this 2-story home, and he had hired some dude off the street to like re-stucco the property, and it like leaked. The dude didn't, I don't know what he did. He didn't stucco the property right. And so when it rained, and the first time we were there, you couldn't see anything because it was a dry day. Like, it's like no big deal. The second day we were there doing inspections, man, it was pouring rain. And the water was coming in the walls. It was seeping. It was all over the place. Like, it was horrible. And that's when he admitted it. He's like, oh yeah, we got some stucco issues. And then he like at that point pointed out like 9 different places throughout this property. It was a you know, a larger property. I think it was on 5 acres if I remember right. So there was a larger house to fit that kind of acreage. And there were like, you know, there's like these walls were weeping into the water, and I was like, oh dude, so there's dry rot all over the place on the studs, and there just was a huge issue. So he ended up taking the walls down, the drywall, and replacing a few of the studs, but not all of them. Like, he didn't like, you know, fix the issue. He was just like, you know, it's starting to dry up. We're in the dry season here. I'm gonna get my price. I'm gonna do very little. But, you know, he had opened up a few of the walls to expose what was there. And so we passed on it. We're like, man, this is not going to work. We don't know if, you know, if it's just this one wall, which was like the major of the like culprit, the biggest problem in the entire thing, or if it was, you know, other parts of the house as well. And so we're just like, we're not going to recycle this entire house. It's not going to work. So what happened was, and this is where it becomes really creative, and this is where someone was able to leverage a delayed close to get what they wanted. And in this case, it was a house that was move-in ready, because at the moment it wasn't. The house was like in the middle of like being gutted because it was all jacked up. So this dude goes and buys this property, or ties it up with a contract, gets it into contract, and then he puts, I think he put like a $10,000 non-refundable earnest money down. So like he was serious about the property. He's like, I want this house, I want this. It was perfect for what he wanted. And so he goes, and then he spends like the next like 6 months. I can't remember if it was exactly 6 months, but it was definitely more than 4. And it was probably about 6 months. So the next, let's call it 4 to 6 months, he goes out there, and on weekends and nights, he's remodeling the house and is just delaying the close, and delaying the close, and he just can't do anything. And so what happens here in California, when you have an escrow and you have a non-refundable deposit, you cannot get that deposit back unless both parties sign the cancellation. And so this guy's like trying to cancel on him. He's like, you're sucking, man. I can't believe you're doing this. And there was no cancellation of escrow. And so he just kept delaying the close until it was all finished and he was able to move in, and he had a move-in ready property that he didn't have to like close on it, have his, you know, a monthly mortgage expense while he's living somewhere else trying to remodel the house. So he didn't have 2 monthly mortgage payments, and or he wasn't staying in a hotel or crashing at some friend's house. He used the closing as an opportunity for him to go ahead and do the needed repairs that this property needed. So it was a completely genius move on his part. Like he used a technicality of delaying the close to get what he wanted, which was a fully finished property, move-in ready property. And so he basically, you know, he used the close to, or he delayed the close to build sweat equity in this particular purchase. And so like at that point I was like, that is a clever idea. You know, I wouldn't call him necessarily an investor, because he was moving into the property himself. And so I thought that was brilliant. So here we are. My partner and I, we just closed on this property last, I want to say Wednesday, I think it was. And this was a property. So here we are in May, and we got into contract on this property, I think back in February. And what had happened was, we got into contract with this property, and in my contract I have this clause that says that we are entitled up to a 90-day a 90-day window to clear any title issues, with the opportunity to extend for another 90 if they haven't been resolved. And so what had happened was, we purchased this property from someone who bought it way back in 1974. And when they bought it in 1974, the original seller had carried back a note, and that note was paid and satisfied. We have the original document, or the original promissory note, that says paid in full and signed, but there was no reconveyance that was ever issued. Now this individual's long gone, and so what happened is we had to get a bond for reconveyance, and it was taking us a very, very, very long time to get all this information accurate and to put it in. And so here we are, you know, we funded this deal. And so our funds, unfortunately, because we thought we were going to close on it, so our funds had already been sent to the title company, but the seller couldn't close because they didn't have clear title, because this reconveyance was never fully, properly executed and issued. So here we are just waiting around, and, you know, word in a small community gets out like, oh, you know, Ryan bought this 5-unit, and it's a good opportunity, because in a rising market, so we bought it for X, and we had multiple offers for this property, you know, that people wanted to buy it at like, you know, Y and Z. And so, or if you're in, which you're not in the UK, Y and Z. So here we are, just like, you know, this delayed closing, this accidentally delayed closing, is making us money. We hadn't even closed on the property, and we're getting offers to assign our contract, or to do a double close, and then go ahead and sell it to these other investors who want this property, because it's in an area it's desirable as far as, you know, strong rents go. It's 5 units, and plus I had another half acre on the back that was, so all the 5 units were in the front, and there's another half acre in the back. It's a full acre, just about. It's like 0.96. So there's another half acre undeveloped that they could actually throw more on, because it's already zoned multifamily. So it's a great deal all the way around. And so for us, we bought it right. And, you know, the delay in the close has allowed for the appreciation. So, you know, great opportunity. So where's the opportunity and strategy today? So, the opportunity basically is this. So in all my contracts, whenever I'm buying a property, I make sure that I have that clause that says, hey, I don't have, you know, we're entitled to a 90-day window to cure all title, issues of title, and another 90-day extension if needed, without having to go and, like, you know, get addendums on the contract and things like that. So that's one clause that I have in my contracts. The second one is that as soon as buyer accepts, or as soon as seller accepts this contract, we're able to, one, place signs in the yard, and two, show the property to whoever we want to future, you know, buyers of the property, or whoever we're going to assign this property to. So all my contracts are assignable, so we can assign it. And then the third thing is that we have the right to back out of this contract. It's a contingency clause is basically what it is. Some people want to call it a weasel clause. You can weasel out of it. But the contingency clause is that if I'm unable to find a suitable let's say, you know, end party, whether I'm going to be assigning this property for a wholesale fee, or whether I'm going to be taking it over as a subject to, and I want to make sure that I have an end user that's going to be in the property that's going to pay the down payment that I'm looking for and afford the monthly payment, so that when I take over this property, I'm not out any cash on day one. I have those specific clauses. So there's actually like 4 or 5 of them that I just mentioned. I'll go ahead and repeat them again to you. The first one is having the 90-day window for title plus the extensions. The second one is that I'm assigning my property. My properties are all able to be assigned. I should say my contracts, not properties. The contracts are able to be assigned. The third one is that we can put signs to advertise this property in the yard. 4 is that we can show this property to whomever we want to or need to. And then 5th is if we're unable to find an end user or an end buyer of our contract, then if we're going to assign it, or if an end buyer, if we're going to be buying it and then keeping it as a rental or a seller finance property, that we can back out that way. So those are the 5 things that all my contracts have, that I make sure that I'm protected. But here's the beautiful thing about a delayed close and how that works. So let's get into this and say, okay, you know what? I have an extended escrow. I say, I'm going to do this for 60 days. I've seen some wholesalers that like tie up properties for like 90 days. I haven't seen that recently, but you know, that's not uncommon. That's way, 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 way too long. Especially if you're not cash buyers, you're able to close within 10, 15 days max. Usually it's between 7 to 10 days. Cash sale, you're in and you're out. But on the assignment per se, you know, you're able to, maybe say you tie it up for 30 days. It's not uncommon for 30 or 45 days, especially if someone's getting a loan, for that to be the commonality as far as like the common time frame, because they got to go get, you know, the financing, the appraisals, all that stuff. And so title report has to come back. So I think 30 days is fair. 45 days is fair in any market condition. So how do you use this extended escrow period to get what you want? And basically it's to make money and to build wealth. Well, if you're wholesaling this property, and you know, you have these clauses that allow for you that once the seller signs, it says, yeah, you can go ahead and, you know, start marketing this property or this contract. You can go ahead and, you know, market what you have, which is this contract. And so you can start showing the property, which the contract is tied to potential buyers, if you don't already have that list of buyers that know and trust and like what you do. So that's the real, you know, opportunity there is to do that. And so you're using that window, that 30 or 45 days, to go into market this contract to find the person that's going to want to buy it, that you can assign that contract to. That's one way. The other way is if you're doing any kind of subject to or seller financing, creative financing, the opportunity is to have that extended escrow be a time where you're able to go ahead and have potential end buyers who are going to rent to own from you, or that are going to lease option it from you with the intent to purchase it in the future, come and take a look at the property and say, yeah, this is exactly what I'm looking for. This is what I want. And then you can go ahead and vet them, make sure they have the money that's needed to close, and they can afford the monthly payment. So those are all ways that you can use the extended escrow to basically build wealth in real estate. And it's ways that I am currently doing it, have done it, and will continue to do it. And, you know, a lot of the stuff we do today, we do end up doing double closes. But for the same thing, you don't necessarily have to assign the contract. You can do a double close. You can still have that extended escrow. And then when you find the right person that wants to buy this property, you close on it with their their money. So real quick, if you don't know how a double close works, it's transaction A to B, which is, you as the buyer to you to the seller, and then you become let me back up here so it's easier as far as the hand gestures go. Seller to you as buyer, you as buyer to new buyer. So it go A to B is A is the original seller to you as the new buyer, and then you as B are going to become the new seller to a even newer buyer, to who is C. So what happens is you contract with A and B, they contract together. And then what happens is with that contract, B is going to go out and get another contract with C over here. And what happens is C is going to take his money, deposit it into the escrow company. And escrow company is going to take C's money to fund the payoff for A, pay B, and then acquire the property. And that's what we use as far as double closing goes. And so it's a double close because you're using C's money to close one between A and B, and then between B and C. And that's how that works. You end up paying, twice the closing costs and things like that, or maybe not exactly twice, because you do get a binder on the title policy and things like that. So as far as insurance goes, but the whole thing is that it takes no money out of your own pocket to do this. And there are title companies that still do this today. I'm actually doing one right now. So there's opportunity all over the place. Again, it's the extended escrow that allows for this opportunity to take place. So if you want a copy of my contracts, they're completely free. I mean, you can find copies like that all over. Go to bootstraprei.com. There's a free course there. It's a 4-part course. It's released every single day, so you can only go through it one module a day. You can't just blow through it just to get the contracts. The reason for that is I want people to actually just learn that there's opportunity there to learn. So if you wait 4 days, you'll get the contracts. But it's bootstraprei.com, and it's a completely free course. It's geared towards talking to sellers, finding the properties, talking to the sellers, negotiating the property, and then contracting the property. And then the last one, of course, is contracting, and that's where you get a copy of my contracts. So again, bootstraprei.com. You can go ahead and get that. It's completely free. And what else do I want to tell you that would be beneficial to you? Well, if you haven't already liked and subscribed, go ahead and do that so you can be added to our algorithm. This can be popped out to more people, and they can get more information, and you'll also be notified when we have more great content coming out. So just remember that you're just one deal away from changing your entire financial future. I post these videos from Bootstrap REI. Bootstrap REI is based on if you're just getting started and you have a limited budget, how to go out and find the best properties and negotiate them and contract them with very little cash outflow from you, or a cash outlay. And that's all it's about. It's about getting that one deal that changes your entire financial future. All right, thanks for watching, and I'll see you on the next one.